This is a global news update on top accolade news. In a world where freedoms erode, economies bend to war, and nature strike without mercy, tonight's headlines remind us progress is fragile and power, whether political or personal, can shatter lives in an instant. Let's dive in. Slovakia enshrines anti-LGBTQ plus restriction in constitution. US government shutdown begins. Taiwan becomes leading importer of Russian naphtha. Trump issues ultimatum to Hamas over Gaza peace plan. First off, in Slovakia, Parliament has enshrined anti-LGBTQ plus restriction into the constitution, recognizing only two sexes, banning legal gender changes, and slamming the door on same-sex adoptions. Right groups like Amnesty International slam it as a page from Hungary and Russia's playbook, clashing with international law. Critics said the changes strengthen state power at the expense of citizens' freedom, undermining the country's EU standing. In a Europe built on equality, Slovakia has chosen fair over freedom. Shifting gears to Washington, where gridlock has consequences. The US government has entered shutdown after President Donald Trump and Congress failed to reach a funding deal by Wednesday's deadline, following 750,000 federal workers and threatening long-term cuts to essential services as Democrats demand renewed healthcare subsidies and Republicans refuse to negotiate. The economic fallout loomed large, with services shuttered and public programs in jeopardy, underscoring a political system where gridlock is prized over governance. In Washington's war of wills, the American people are the collateral damage. From political paralysis to economic hypocrisy overseas, Taiwan imported $1.3 billion worth of Russian naphtha in the first half of 2025, making it the world's biggest buyer of the petroleum product vital for its semiconductor industry, even as it supports Ukraine and sanctions Moscow elsewhere. Analysts warn the reliance both funds Russia's war and undermines Taiwan's credibility with allies. In the balance between principle and necessity, energy has exposed the island's deepest vulnerability. Turning to the powder keg in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump has given Hamas 3 or 4 days to accept his Gaza peace plan, demanding a ceasefire, hostage releases, disarmament, and a transitional authority led by Trump himself, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's backing and cautious international support, while Hamas reviews the terms amid skepticism on the ground in Gaza. The plan's sweeping demands may look like diplomacy, but its contradictions risk making peace feel like yet another battlefield. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Closer to Europe's tense border. EU leaders met in Copenhagen on Wednesday under tight security after Russian drone incursions and attacks on Danish airports, with 10 member states backing a proposed drone wall to counter aerial threats as NATO and allies pledged support. While Moscow denied involvement, leaders like Germany's Friedrich Merz warned Europe is no longer at peace. Europe's skies will be the first battlefield where tomorrow's wars are tested in real time. Now, from man-made threats to nature's wrath. A 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck the central Philippines late Tuesday, killing at least 69 people, collapsing buildings, and cracking vital infrastructure across Cebu province, which has now declared a state of calamity. Rescuers are racing to find survivors amid widespread power and communication outages, just days after deadly typhoon and floods battered the country. Sitting on the volatile Pacific ring of fire, the Philippines is once again reminded that nature's fury rarely comes alone. Disaster here is never a solitary visitor. Switching to the spotlight of scandal. A U.S. judge on Tuesday refused Sean Diddy Combs' request to overturn his felony prostitution-related conviction, citing overwhelming evidence that the music mogul coerce women into drug-filled sex shows, and prosecutors seeking over 11 years in prison at his October 3rd sentencing. Comso denied all charges, plans to appeal. The fall of a cultural icon now reads like tragedy and more like a grim lesson in unchecked power. And wrapping up in sports, a gut punch for Miami fans. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill underwent surgery on Tuesday to repair a torn ACL and ligament damage sustained in Monday's 2-7-2-1 win over the Jets, ending his season and sidelining the 8-time Pro Bowler at age 31. Coach Mike McDaniel said Hill may avoid further operations, while the player himself urged fans to keep him in prayers. For a team chasing playoff dreams, losing its fastest weapon is more than a setback. It's like watching lightning go out mid-storm. As we close tonight, we remember, in these stories of division, disaster, and downfall, the human thread binds us all, urging us not to fear change, but to fight for a world where freedom, fairness, and fortitude prevail. For Top Accolade News, I'm Ojorome Okocha. Do have a wonderful day and keep watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News.